Okay, hello. It's Wonder Skippy here. I'm talking about my proposal for a new game called Hell Hath No Fury 4. This is about balance issues, how to get the game balanced properly. I've had to make a few changes, unfortunately, to the basic parts of the game. I've decided to have 5 main characters rather than just having the barbarian and an apprentice. Have 5 choices of character. As before, we've got the barbarian, played by Mary Baxter, the elemental, played by Kat Kerr, the dwarf, played by Richard Sigmund, the cleric, played by Jesse Duplantis, and now I've got the changeling, who is played by Bill Wiese. I thought I'd put in the changeling because Bill Wiese wrote his book 23 Minutes in Hell, and he was able to change his story several times with immunity, so I thought that would be a good character to put in the game. And because he spent 23 minutes in Hell, he has quite a lot of experience of the lower levels of Hell, which will be useful in game. So the changeling in truth, what happened in the olden days was that when a human couple had a baby, a nice chubby healthy baby, what would happen is the elves would come and they would swap the human baby, the healthy baby, for a changeling, which was an elfin baby, and this baby was usually quite sickly and frail and funny looking, but the thing is that often the humans couldn't understand what happened to their nice baby, but they accepted the changeling and brought it up as one of their own. But the changeling, like I say, would have an innate ability to be able to write sagas on the dark realms and get away with changing it as well. So another thing I forgot to mention in the last video about my game is that one of the key bits of importance of the game is the saga. What happens in the game is that the character will generate a saga automatically as they're playing through the levels of Hell and as they teleport to heaven. But I thought to get balance in the game, I'd have that the barbarian would be able to write the epic saga, Mary Baxter's barbarian character, epic saga, which is would generate more money, more fortune when it's sold at the cleric. You have to find a cleric in Middle Earth and sell the saga and exchange it for treasure. And so only the barbarian is able to generate an epic saga. The other characters generate sagas. The thing about a saga is it can be quite short and yet generate a lot of money for the character, a lot of treasure. So and the saga doesn't take long to produce either. But the trouble with a saga is in this game is that there are critics in Middle Earth, but the critics can't be slain because they're in Middle Earth and you can't wield weapons, and that's not allowed in the game, and also they're immune to elemental energy. The only way a critic can be slain is for the character to go to the lower levels of Hell and get a battle axe of scorn. This is a particular battle axe which has to be sought for, and it costs quite a lot of treasure to buy. But once the character has acquired the battle axe of scorn, they can go back up to Middle Earth and slay the critic. There aren't very many critics, and once you've slain a critic, they have a tendency to respawn randomly in Middle Earth. So you have to check through Middle Earth a lot. Your character will have to run around Middle Earth looking for critics, and slay them once they've got the battle axe of scorn. Otherwise, you see what happens is you have gullibility points. Your character generates gullibility, and the critic reduces the gullibility points. The gullibility is a randomly generated point system, but it can be enhanced by certain things like the breastplate of gullibility, which can be sought also in the lower levels of hell, and that once that's worn, gullibility points are much increased, and so sales of the sagas are increased as well, and the money and the treasure got for sagas and epic sagas is also increased once the gullibility level is high. So that's like a good kind of a balance in the game. So that's, yeah, I've said that. So one of the big things about, one of the main elements of the game is fortune, acquisition of fortune. So the elemental, Kat Kerr's character, has it starts off with the helm of fortune. This generates more treasure bonuses when treasure is unlocked or found. The treasure bonus is active when the helm of fortune is worn. Kat Kerr, the elemental, starts off with the helm of fortune, and but the other characters don't. They have to seek the helm of fortune in the different levels of hell. When the health and mana potions are held in heaven, when the character is running about hell, slaying demons and freeing the damned, they generate piety, and piety can be traded in heaven for health and mana potions. So it's not quite like the other games like Diablo 3 and Titan Quest. You have to actually go to heaven, teleport to heaven to get your health and mana potions, and it has to be bought through piety. So it's a bit like experience, but it's a different kind of way, it's system of the way it works. You don't have to use your fortune to generate to have piety. Gullibility is of course adds to piety, and that's the way you can maintain the balance in the game through a balance of gullibility, piety, and fortune. One of the main main purposes as well, besides fortune, is the lair. Each character has a lair, and that's in Middle Earth, and the size of the lair it affects the health regeneration points. So the bigger the lair, the quicker the health regeneration happens. It doesn't affect the experience points, because that's just done by slaying demons and bosses and freeing the damned, and also doing side quests. You gain experience points and treasure. So I hope nobody's too upset with the changes, but I think to have a standard five characters in the game is better than the idea I had at first of just having a barbarian with an apprentice. And then I'll try and balance each character so that they're all balanced equally, like the dwarf falling on his face. I mean, and being able to weep bitterly. That's a very strong point, I think. So I'm not leaving out any particular character, leaving them too weak. The physical strength of the dwarf is quite great, and he can wield the battle hammer and all the other major weapons. the cleric being able to summon the devout with their huge bonus of fortune and their ability to slay demons and also add to the piety of the cleric is quite. I think that'll make the cleric equally well balanced. The changeling, I might have to work a bit on the changeling, because at the moment he hasn't got any particular special assets, being able to change the saga, generating more fortune from the saga, but the generation rate of the sagas from the changeling is not as great as the generation of sagas from the elemental or the barbarian. The barbarian, I think, is stacked too much really at the moment. I'm going to have to work on that, because like Mary Baxter, the barbarian can generate epic sagas at quite a rapid rate, and they generate a lot of treasure, whereas the elemental is only limited to sagas. So that's any ideas on how to improve the game would be helpful. I'm hoping that this game will be released on PlayStation 4, an RPG, a good RPG, not like Diablo 3, which had terrible reviews and it was a terrible game and didn't work on PC. I had my gaming computer, which has a graphics card. It's not very old, and it's a simple. Diablo 3's graphics is simple graphics, and yet it wouldn't work on that computer. So I gave it away, and I've never played it. But looking at the reviews of it, it's a terrible game anyway. It's the balance of the game is rubbish. It's not fun to play. I've heard. So that's it.